Thank you, Speaker. I rise today to move a motion that recognises the critical importance of the Tasmanian Freight Equalisation Scheme to our state's economic prosperity. Tasmania, and particularly our Bass Strait Islands, face a unique set of challenges when it comes to freight costs. Unlike businesses on the mainland, we don't have the luxury of simply trucking goods across state lines. We rely on shipping, a costly necessity that, without proper support, puts our local industries at a significant disadvantage. Economist Saul Eslake nails it when he says, and I quote, "Very few people question the fact that every year the Commonwealth Government allocates tens of millions of dollars to the maintenance and upgrading of the National Highway network. That's not considered a subsidy to businesses in Western Australia, Queensland, South Australia, New South Wales, Victoria or the Northern Territory. But somehow doing something that provides the equivalent to Tasmania is considered by people in mainland states as a subsidy." End quote. The cost of transporting goods across Bass Strait can be a prohibitive factor for businesses looking to expand, invest and create jobs in Tasmania. It is not simply a matter of convenience. It is a fundamental issue of economic fairness. That is why the TFES is so vital. It ensures that our businesses, our producers and our exporters can compete on a level playing field with their mainland counterparts. It supports jobs, investment and economic growth across our island state. However, as the recent Senate Select Committee on the Tasmanian Freight Equalisation Scheme has made clear, this scheme is in urgent need of reform. The Senate Committee's report, handed down in December 2024, makes a compelling case for strong and meaningful changes to TFES. The Chair's additional comments highlight key areas where reforms are desperately needed, and I strongly support these recommendations. According to the Chair, the committee tried to gain a deeper understanding of the scheme's history, its development across 5 decades, how it has been used by businesses, both large and small, and areas where it could be more fit for purpose than those it was created to help. The TFES was established in 1976 to compensate Tasmanian businesses because they don't have access to national highway and rail networks and so have to rely on shipping. Speaker, unfortunately, what was originally designed to support and strengthen our economy has, over time, become bogged down in inefficiencies and administrative burdens. If we do not act now to modernise and improve the scheme, we risk leaving Tasmanian businesses at an even greater disadvantage compared to their mainland competitors. And this motion details what effective steps we can make today to make this happen. Firstly, we must have dedicated frontline TFES-based staff here in Tasmania. Local businesses need direct expert assistance from people who understand the complexities of our freight challenges, not bureaucrats based in Canberra, detached from the realities of the ground. It is unacceptable that Tasmanian businesses must navigate bureaucratic processes controlled by people who have never had to deal with the unique logistics of freight across Bass Strait. Having a dedicated Tasmanian-based team would mean faster, more effective support for businesses struggling with freight costs and administrative hurdles. Secondly, the TFES must be simplified. At present, the scheme is spread across 2 separate Commonwealth Government departments, creating unnecessary red tape and confusion. Select Committee Chair noted that the public service did not seem to notice the process was in any way inefficient, duplicative or unnecessarily complex. The current system is riddled with inefficiencies that create unnecessary delays and confusion for those who rely on it the most. One department should be responsible, streamlining processes and making it easier for Tasmanian businesses to access the support that helps create a level playing field in access to markets throughout Australia and the world. When small businesses are forced to navigate complex bureaucratic structures, it reduces productivity, increases frustration and ultimately discourages economic growth. A single centralised department managing the scheme would provide much needed clarity and efficiency. Speaker, this scheme must be expanded to include air freight. For many high-value, perishable or time-sensitive goods, shipping is simply not a viable option, leaving businesses at a disadvantage when trying to get products to market quickly. If we are serious about supporting Tasmanian industry, this change is essential. Air freight plays a vital role in maintaining supply chains, meeting consumer demand and ensuring Tasmanian products reach their markets in peak condition. This is especially critical for the Bass Strait Islands, where logistical challenges are even greater. Industries such as seafood, pharmaceuticals and specialised manufacturing depend on air freight as a fundamental part of modern business operations. The TFES must recognise this reality and include air freight to reflect the needs of contemporary trade and industry. The opportunities which would present from the expansion of TFES to air freight, such as enabling Tasmanian producers to better participate in just-in-time supply chains and accessing premium market segments that demand rapid delivery, are enormous. This could lead to the transformation of Tasmania's export profile toward higher value products, skilled jobs and value-added processing. The way payments are distributed under the TFES needs to be reformed. The existing system is outdated and inefficient, and modernisation is long overdue. Payments should be made in a way that ensures businesses receive the support they need as quickly and cost-effectively as possible. In its current form, the scheme often leaves businesses waiting far too long for reimbursements, creating cash flow issues and financial uncertainty. The scheme is currently linked to 20-foot containers as a standard measure of unit, known as TEU, 20-foot equivalent unit. To be included in air freight, this linkage must be removed. The scheme needs to be more flexible to meet the demands of an economy which is changing. In 2014, the Productivity Commission reviewed the TFES and recommended the scheme introduce payment of freight assistance as a flat rate per TEU and separate dollar amounts for the Tasmanian mainland, King Island and the Furneaux Group, following a public consultation process. In Hobart, the recent committee heard that from Ms Shirley Davies of Wine Tasmania, who highlighted a key issue. Her research showed that 40% of Tasmanian wine businesses are not utilising the TFES. The reason she stated was the rebate in smaller shipments is too insignificant to justify the effort, and the claims process itself is simply too complex. In addition, it was recommended to me recently to exclude unprocessed timber logs on trucks and in containers. By removing this provision, we can promote on-island opportunities for manufacturing and encourage more circular economy principles. We collect the resource, we process the resource, we turn it into beautiful things. We sell the final product on the island or as a higher quality product off the island. A complete win-win for Tasmania. By creating efficiencies and streamlining processes to make things faster and cheaper and ensuring businesses receive their entitlements in a timely manner, we can provide greater stability and confidence for those who rely on the TFES. Speaker, the committee chair's recommendations are practical, common sense reforms that will improve efficiency, reduce costs and strengthen Tasmania's economic position. That is why this House must throw its support behind the recommendations and commit to lobbying both federal, Labor and the Coalition to implement these vital changes. I'm pleased both sides have made positive announcements in this space, but I believe we can keep the pressure on. Without meaningful reform, we will see continued barriers to growth, fewer opportunities for Tasmanian businesses and an ongoing struggle to compete in national and global markets. I urge my colleagues in this House to support this through championing the scheme with our federal colleagues and ensuring promises made throughout the current election campaign are followed through on. Alongside these TFES reforms, we must also address broader issues in Tasmania's freight and shipping landscape. The formal recommendations of the Senate committee highlight the need for careful consideration of Tasport's role in our state's shipping operations. Concerns were raised about the efficiency and effectiveness of Tasport's administration, particularly in facilitating competitive trade between Tasmania and the mainland, as well as its service delivery through Bass Island Line, one of the 3 regular freight services to the Bass Strait. At a Hobart hearing, Tasport's Chief Executive Officer, Mr Anthony Doddle, explained that federal competition laws restrict the ability to reduce intermodal costs, particularly wharfage fees. He noted that Tasports competes with only 2 other entities transporting goods directly to Victoria and that wharfage fees reflect the genuine cost of maintaining port infrastructure. At the King Island hearing, Mr Roger Clemens, representing both the farmers and the King Island Beef Producers Group, described the challenges faced by local producers. He argued that Tasports operates with monopoly-like control, leaving businesses with little power to influence freight services. He recalled a period during the recent drought when extra sailings from Devonport were urgently needed. Despite the demand, Tasports initially claimed there was no freight, even though 55 trailers were waiting to be shipped with essential supplies. It was only after ministerial intervention that the necessary services were provided. In response to these concerns, the committee has recommended that the ongoing review of government business enterprises closely examines Tasport's primary role in ensuring the most efficient and cost-effective facilitation of trade. Additionally, the review should assess the impact of Tasports in operating as a shipping provider, particularly in light of the national competition policy and the additional costs this structure imposes. Tasports is an essential part of our supply chain, and its operations have a direct impact on cost, efficiency and economic competitiveness. It is imperative that any changes made to its governance and structure reflect the best interests of Tasmanian businesses and consumers alike. We must ensure that Tasports is operating in a way that maximises efficiency and minimises costs. This is why I am also calling on the committee investigating GBE reforms and potential sales to formally consider Recommendation 2 from the Senate Committee report as part of its work. Any review of GBEs must prioritise affordability, transparency and fairness for those who depend on these services every day. We must ensure that Tasports is held to the highest standards of accountability and its primary function remains the facilitation of efficient, cost-effective trade for Tasmania. This is not a partisan issue, it is about doing what is right for Tasmania. Freight costs impact every single Tasmanian, from our business owners and farmers to our consumers. We must modernise and strengthen the TFES so that it truly delivers for our state. If we do not take this opportunity to push for change, we risk seeing our businesses struggle under an unfair freight burden for years to come. This is about securing a stronger, more competitive future for Tasmania and ensuring that we are not left behind when the rest of the nation moves forward. I urge all members of this House to support this motion and work together to push for the reforms that will keep Tasmania competitive, connected and prosperous. This is our chance to deliver real, lasting benefits for our businesses, our workers and our economy. Let's stand together and ensure Tasmania's freight needs are met now and into the future. Thank you.